All right, I am here live, and let's paint part 2 of our Highland cow. If you watched last week, this would be part 2 of that. We're going to finish up the hair and add the flowers, do the crown, and then we'll pretty much be done with this project. I can't wait to see what you guys do with yours. Let me grab the original so that we can work off of her. So tonight we'll focus first on putting in the finer details of the nose right here. Then we'll finish doing the hair. We'll work on the horns, and then we'll finish her up. So let's jump right into it. If you come on and just let me know you're here. If not, you'll catch the replay and you can let me know if you need any help at that point. I'm always here available to help. So I was really excited. I've been working all day and it's taken me pretty much all day to put the original buttercup with different flowers. What? Okay. With different pink flowers, a flower crown, and a snarky, funny saying. And I finally got that loaded on the website and realized it was already after 7 o'clock, but we're here now. So we're going to use our colors that we used the last time. Probably going to stick with burnt umber and the buttermilk and white right now. So I'll just get a little bit of each of those colors here on my plate. And because I'm working smaller with this round, I, don't need as much paint. You get all that set up. Just a little bit of white. And we will also need a little bit of black for doing the horns. So I'll just get all that together there. Find the brush that I want to use. Too big. You know that feeling whenever you clean your craft room or clean off your table, you can never find what you're looking for, and that's me right now. So I want to go in here and work a little bit more on the nose. I'll grab the original again so that you can see it. It's just got some darker around the edges, and then we'll go in, we'll add the black back in for the nostrils. We'll work on her lips. It's all pretty simple, guys. It's really not as hard as one might think, and it really just all depends on what look you're going for. So to start here, I'm going to wet my brush. It's a little trick, and this is a wet brush. You can see on my finger this is full of paint. I'm not going to double load, but I'm just going to side load some of that brown on that brush, and this is a wet brush. So when I bring it over here and work it back and forth, I'm just going to work that brown in through the bristles. And it's not double loaded, it's just single loaded, side loaded. And then I take my fingers and pinch out some of the water. You can try this. If it doesn't work with you, just play with your brush till you get it how you want it. And then that's gonna let me come in here and just add some of that brown just to give some shading. And like I said, you can just come in here and tap in some of that brown. I'm gonna define this nostril just a little bit. I'm just putting little random bits of the darker around the cow, just to create some texture and shading. Now I'm going to take the same brush, it's still dirty, and I'm just going to mix in and pick up some of that buttercup on it. I'm not worried about side loading or being perfect. I'm just going to come in here and get some of those areas and create some lining. I'm just lightly touching with my brush. I want the lighter part of the nose at the top because that's where the sun would be hitting it. So this is the littlest bit of paint, the slightest bit of pressure. I think next month we'll do another Highland cow, but more of a stylized, cartoonish cow. You guys let me know what you think about that. We'll do like just a real funny little cow. Now, not cleaning the brush, just dipping a very tiny bit into that black, mixing it in a little bit with the brown. I don't want a lot of paint on my brush. I'm just gonna come in here with that I'm just using the tip of my brush, so you could use a little liner to do this as well. I'm gonna get a little bit more black. I just wanna define the nose a little bit, if you can see that in the camera. I'm gonna use my fingers. Remember, those fingers are one of our best tools. Don't be afraid to get messy. It all washes off. But just play and have fun. So I'm just dipping some of that black. I'm using my finger to blend it. It's just the smallest bit of black on the brush. And then you can blend it out. Now, at this point, we'll put the nostrils in. If you don't feel comfortable freehanding it, then you can take your pattern, put your pattern back on. If you painted over it like I did, you can just put it back on with your tracer paper. But I'm just going to very simply freehand some circles right about where I want the nostrils to be. Look, you can see I'm not worried about perfection. And then I'm going to pull that over and up to a rounded point, almost like a sideways teardrop. And they do not have to be exact. Now, my black paint is still wet, and I want to keep it wet. I don't want to get too carried away with the nostrils. But that's about where I want my nostrils to be for my cow. I'm going to grab my liner brush, if I can find it. I'm just going to grab a liner brush here. Look, a script liner, nothing fancy. This is still wet. I'm going to roll this in the white and just get a nice good bit of white there, not too much. And then I'm just going to, not right on the edge of the brown and the black, the nose and the nostril, right inside, I'm going to drag just lightly that white paint around. I'm sort of tapping and lifting. I want it to be like a broken line. I don't need you can then also take your finger and tap into it and keep working it until you like it. If you want that really solid white line, leave it as it is. If not, just work with it a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You can tap into it a little to blend it. Now with the white on my brush, I'm just going to lay the brush here in the middle of the nose, press, pull over, and I'm going to pull that up to a point. You can see there where some of the black is still in there, but that's okay. It just adds texture to the cow's nose. I'm going to do that on the other side. I'm going to come in here and just add little lines. You can add a line under this nostril. Come over here to this side of his upper lip and add a little line. You can also add one on this side, and then just have them kind of meet in the middle and feather that color up. Okay, I'm gonna clean my brush because I need to fix this bottom lip. I'm going to bring the lip down just a bit more to overlap that hair there. That's the beauty of paint, guys. If you mess up, you let it dry and you start all over again. So just fill those lips in with the black paint. And then the same thing we did for the nostrils. Look, I'm not cleaning my brush. I'm just wiping some of the black off. I'm going to dip into the white. I'm going to roll it just a little. Then I'm going to come over. I'm going to start here. And in the middle, I want to create where two lips are meeting. So I'm going to come off to the side right here under his nostril. Let my brush just touch it, pull it over, and then I'm going to lift up and pull up with my brush. So that created that look of the lip separation there. I'm going to get the bottom lip as well. And remember, this black paint that I just put on there is still wet. And you want that because then it blends in the white and it doesn't look like such a harsh line. So I'm actually going to dip my brush into the black and then right into the white again with both colors on this little liner brush. And I'm just going to define where that bottom lip and the top lip meet. See how that line is more blended? That line is more blended there than real sharp. But it gives it it gives it that look that we want. Now I'm also going to just turn her around. Can you see this when I turn it around? Let me make sure I've got the camera placed right. Okay, good. So I'm going to switch back to my flat brush. Let me zoom in a little bit if it will allow me. And then we'll do the horns, the bull horns. Now I'm using black and white. If you want different look, you can use, whatever color that you want. I'm just gonna dip in and get some black. I'm just gonna blend it into my brush. I don't mind if some of that brown gets in there. And I am just going to fill in the horn with that mix of black and brown paint. Not really worried really badly about getting all the way to the edge. And I'll show you why in a minute, because we have to put our highlight. What in the world? So we'll go over here and fill this horn in. can use whatever brush you have handy. I'm just using a flat right now. I'm gonna pull that horn into where the flowers will be, because we'll paint over it in a minute. Same brush, dirty, just side loading the smallest bit of white on the side. And then we are gonna blend that into the black a little bit. We're gonna come over with the black, the white pointed to the outside of the horns. We're gonna, it's almost gonna go, the chisel point of that brush is gonna go almost right on the line. But then we're gonna pull the side that still has some black just slightly inward. So then we're gonna come down with that white paint. It's just a single stroke. See, the black is still to the inside. And we can just work that color in. That's just going to blend. I'm out of white, so I'll come get a tiny little bit back on my tip. And we'll do that outer part. See how I have the black part to the inside of the horn. Pull it this way and flatten it so you can see. It highlights and makes that horn pop off of the black background. Okay, so I'm going to do, and you can get all painterly with your strokes. You can add just a couple back and forth strokes in there. I'm going to do the same thing the other side. Pick up my little tiny bit of white, blend it into the black just a bit. Put the brush tip at the top of the horn, the heel where the black is, to the inside. I'm going to keep that white to the outside of the bull's horn. Lift, and I will come back up here and do the same thing to the other side of the horn. Now you can leave it like that, or you can just add a few strokes of that white into the black. You can blend it more. But leave a nice little contrast of the white there so that the horn pops off of the black background. There we go. That's it for the horns. Not hard at all. Now, we worked on hydrangea the other night, so if you feel comfortable working with hydrangea, and you want to do hydrangea as the flower crown, you would do that as well. Now, I want to show you real quick the way we're going to do the leaves. So I'm just going to grab a piece of paper. Grab a piece of paper. Actually, I have our hydrangeas still in here. So I'm going to put the cowl to the side. We're going to come back and, oh, I'm knocking everything over, guys. In our original cowl, there are some leaves that kind of droop down. These are the easiest leaves to make with a liner brush. Oh, I need to zoom out again. Sorry, I'm a little crazy tonight. Okay, so we're back in. Now I'll grab, here's the colors that I like to do for the leaves in the cowl. Evergreen, and the Hauser light green. Okay, you might see in here that I also added in a few drops of a light blue. So I'm just gonna grab cool blue and I'll show you here how to pull those leaves, and they're very simple. Liner brush or a small round brush will work. Get green. Uh-oh. Get some light green. And I will put a little bit of blue on here just so we have it. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Think about your leaves. Think about, you're going to have a flower. So you're going to have a hydrangea. Say a hydrangea, a hydrangea, a hydrangea. Your flowers are going to come down, droop down, or your leaves are going to droop down from your flowers. Okay, so you can just imagine a line. We'll do this kind of, almost like some kind of greenery, and I'll just pencil them in so you can see where I'm going to place them. So there's a stem of leaves. Then there are the other leaves that I'm doing in here, and they just kind of come down. And just droop. They're like waterfall. I don't know how else to explain it. So I still have some white on my brush from painting the horn, but that's okay. So here's the deal. Dip in, rotate your brush into the green, the dark green. Dip into the lighter green. Double loaded that brush. Now, it all depends which way you feel comfortable with your hand. I like to start at the outermost tip, put the brush, start to pull back a little bit. Then I am going to put pressure on that brush and lift back up again to a point. Now, I want that a little thicker, so I'll come in, press, and just add another stroke, and then you can pull the two colors together. I'm just going to reload with some paint. Here we go. Place the brush, pull, push, pull out slightly, pull back into the stem, lifting up. Same thing. I'm going to widen the leaf here. Start at the top, press, rotate that brush a little bit, lift it up back to the point, come in and fatten it up there, and you can just blend your colors together. Now, you could start at the stem, come out, press, pull, and then lift back to the point. But I prefer starting at the outer and working in. It doesn't matter. Whatever your hand feels most comfortable doing. And leaves are not perfect. Okay. Now for these, same thing. Green, light green, and then watch this. Dip into the pool blue. I got some blue on there. Now, I'm going to do the same thing. But I like to start at the top for these. Press, pull, and I wiggle that brush a little bit. I twist it so it's back to a point, pulling and lift. They're almost the same exact leaf. Now I'm just going to pick up Hauser green, the light green on this one, and do that same stroke, creating another leaf, and I can upturn. You can just give your leaf a little turn. Don't be afraid to get that blue in there. And if they overlap, even better, because leaves overlap in nature. We just want a color difference so that we can tell that it's another separate leaf on top of that one. See how that blue in there? It just adds nice touch to it. You can add some white. We'll do one over here. We'll add some white. Don't be afraid to just play with that brush. So that one you can see the light green, the blue, and it just sort of makes it look like it's faded out into the distance behind the others. We're just pulling that brush, wiggling it, pulling it back to the point. That it's that easy, okay? And we'll do next month. I think I said we're gonna play with greenery. I know I want to do succulents next month, at least one succulent, and then we'll work on projects with the different leaves in them as well, because just doing projects with greenery, there's something about greenery, even if it doesn't have a flower, it just looks gorgeous. Actually, I'm skipping ahead of myself because we want to have all of the hair on the cow before we go on to the flowers. And this last week got a little messed up, so I just got that black bobo from my background, and I'm just going to cover that up a bit. This is why I always paint my backgrounds. If I'm using a black canvas, I still paint it black, because then the color blends when you mess up. And believe me, you will, because I do it all the time. So I'm going to turn it just a little bit, because you guys know I like to pull back towards myself. Let's make sure you can see what I'm doing. All right. So my darker colors are already in there. I'm basically going to finish up with white. Last week we used mostly the liner brush. This week I'm going to use the liner to finish it up. But also, if you've happened to get yourself, that's if I can find it, a greener brush for the hair, like we used on gnomes. That makes it fun and easy too. So here's the greener brush. Just gonna wet it, pull the water off. I'm gonna dip in the buttermilk first, then into the white. So I have two colors on the greener brush. I'm gonna knock some of that paint off. There we go. And then I am just going to follow the hair strokes that I applied last time. Follow the wave that I created last time. So the harder you push with the greener, the thicker your hair strokes will be. I won't be able to fix and go over that with the white just yet until that black dries. You see, I just pulled black up into it, but that's okay. What was that? I'll let it dry and go over it with the brown. But you'll want to finish up your hair. You don't have to get that light as well. You can leave the dark hair strokes. Leave your cow dark. Brown cows give chocolate milk, right, Lex? Just remember to create that movement with your brush, you can come over here and add some more as well. Just adding a little bit more hair, covering the ear. Now, the white flowers that I did on the original Buttercup are the flowers that we learned last month. So, you can go check out the tutorial for the pink camellias. And to do the original flowers that were on Buttercup's head, just use white and gray instead of the 2 shades of pink. Or just change your coloring up. But what I did was use white and gray, so that was the camellia that we painted. Here were a bunch of the hydrangea, and I used white and lighthouser green. I also added in like a baby pink and mixed the 3 colors all throughout. So I will put in some leaves here. I will do some hydrangea. That's pretty much dry. All right, so let me put in some of our drop and drag leaves. Where is the brush that I just had? There it is. It's hiding. Actually, I don't like that one as much. This one, it's a little bit thicker. So, all right, here I go again. I'm gonna get some of the green, some of this green, and I am just gonna come in here. And this is the best part, because if there are places where you don't like the hair, just come in here and drop your leaves over it. Some blue, overlap one there, a little bit more blue. Okay, so right around here we had that other leaf, so green. And I'm going to drop, pull back, and lift. On the tip, push, pull, lift. Push, pull, lift. Drop it, pull it back, and lift. Remember, guys, whatever way that feels best for you to do it, that is the way you should do it. It's almost like a fern. All right. So then I'll put some more drop flowers coming over his horn here, or drop leaves, I should say. I'm gonna dip into some white. Over here. You guys can follow the template exactly if you'd like, or, you know, try to branch out and put your leaves the way you want them, but your template is there. Now, for the other leaves, it did show us, I think, the other night when we were doing hydrangea, that it's almost just like these drop leaves. But it's just making almost like a rounded diamond shape, and pulling back a stem. Do another one here to the side. So it's almost like a teardrop or a rounded diamond. Pull back to the stem. Switch up your colors. Just use at least 2 colors on your brush. Or go back in and blend another color in. I don't know why our lights are flickering. So I'm just going to add a bunch of those little flowers or little leaves, different sizes. Bobo, stop it. Mommy's painting. No, he doesn't. Lexi, could you put him out for me, please, babe? Same, it's all the same stroke. I'm just varying the length to create the different leaves, and I'm varying the colors. We've got a good bit of leaf in there. I'm going to stop there with the leaves. And we are working tiny this time. So let me see. I think we might, I'm going to grab a real tiny little flat, but you could just use a small round. And remember how I showed you the painterly hydrangeas? I'm going to pick up some of this green. I'm going to pick up a good scoop of my white. And I'm going to work that a little bit through. So when I come in here, I can just make my hydrangea strokes. Remember, we don't just want 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to overlap. So you're going to want to come in, you're going to want to come in with your green. You're going to want to vary the different shades of the green. Put the green down first, and then come in and blend some of the white petals. I'm just dropping little petals of hydrangea in there. Now, if you're working on a larger canvas, you can get in there and do the other type of hydrangea stroke that I showed you the other night. That is what I did on the larger canvas. But because I'm working small here, this will look just as good and will save you a lot of headache. Just make sure some of them are meeting in the middle. I'm going to put another bunch of hydrangea here. So I'm going to put some green. And then I'll come in with my white. Going to, because you're working wet paint on wet paint, it will blend. So you will have to reload your brush, but use that blending to create the depth that we try so hard to get when we're painting art, so that it doesn't look like coloring book art. There's nothing wrong with coloring book. That is not what I'm saying. But if you want that depth and dimension, you've just got to really work with it, leaving the dark and the light values. So there's a second hydrangea, get some green. I think I'll do one more small one here. I'm letting that dry just a little bit. Now feel free to do pink, add pink in with your white as well, and I might do that here in just a minute. And I just want to get some of my petals in. Now notice they're not all going in one direction. We've got them crisscrossing. We've got them making the 4-point flowers. We've got singles. There we go. Okay. Now let me grab a pink, because I will show you how to put a little bit of pink in that hydrangea this way. I grabbed Carousel, which is a little bit bright, but if we use just the tiniest little bit, it should be fine. I'll come over here and just work a few drops of that pink in. And because that paint is still wet, it is just going to give you that slightest hint of pink in your hydrangea ball. Same thing here. Just like we did with the white, just dropping little bits of pink here and there to create that hint of pink. The hydrangea is just starting to turn its color. That's a little bit too much pink there for me. But here's the thing. We dip back into our green, add some in there. We can dip back into the white and brighten that back up. Okay. Now, I want to show you the pink flowers that I put on the cow that I was telling you about in the beginning of the video. The flowers that I put on the second, Buttercup second t-shirt. They're very simple. So, that was weird. So I've got my little flat. That's a little bit too little. You're not going to be able to see what I'm doing. Hold on. I'll grab a flat angle, but you can do this with a flat. You can also do this with a round. I'm going to grab this dragon fruit. I like this color. It's not too girly, I guess. Too pink. But I'm going to just put some of that pink on my brush. And wherever I want this flower, I'm just going to fill in almost like a little circle, but not perfect. And you can see here, I'm kind of dabbing the paint, which is fine. I want it to stay wet so that when I come back here in just a second, I'm going to overlap my hydrangea too. Do that here. Do a little one here. Okay. Now I am going to switch back over to my liner brush, wherever it may have went. Here it is. Pink is very wet. Still wet, still wet. I can do one of several things. I can go in on top of it with a lighter pink. I can go in on top of it with a white. But I think I'm going to be bold and use a little bit of yellow. Play with your colors, guys. You don't have to use them straight out of the bottle. And I am going to mix them a little bit over here until I get a nice little color that I like. I'm going to place the brush, push and pull it in just a couple of spots to blend that color through that pink. And you can see that that gives the illusion of petals. You can get some white in there, lighten it up. It could be as simple as this. If you lose too much of the pink, add some more pink back in. Just creating a very simple little flower. Not worrying about the centers. I'm just dipping back into that color I made, some white. Come over here and I'll go this way with my strokes. Wiggle those strokes. They don't all have to be perfect C shapes. I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of the yellow. They don't all have to be the same. I'm just gonna get a little bit of white there and just play it. You're playing, you're pulling it in a circular motion. Just creating the look of little petals. Do one facing the outside here. Some of my orange. Coral color, white, and these colors, these flowers will never look the same twice because no flower ever really looks the same. I like the way that that looks. You can, of course, do your camellias. Now, I'm just, see how fast this is going, guys? And then I'm just gonna dip the brush tip into the black paint. Simple, simple. Wherever you want that center part of the flower, and I'm not making perfect circles. I'm dabbing that brush and putting centers in. So this one, maybe I'll do a center that's looking that way. Put a center over here for this one. Okay, so now there is Buttercup the second finished up for you guys tonight. I hope that you got a good view of everything that I did. I hope you like this version as well. If you do want the original flowers, you're going to work on your hydrangea that we learned on Monday. The video's in group. Back in April, we did the pink camellias. These are done the way I did the pink camellias. Just change your colors to white and gray, or do pink camellias They would look gorgeous on this cow as well. And then I'm going to be back in a day or two. I want to show you what I'm doing with the cows now that I've painted them. Because, as I said, I want you to be able to use this group as well for profit. So, Monday night, I think Monday, we are going to do lettering. And then one day over the weekend, I'm going to pop in and show you what I'm doing with both of the cows that I've painted. I hope you enjoyed part 2. If you have any questions about any of it, please let me know. Hi, Connie. I'm good. Thank you for popping in. So, oh, great. We did the flowers on this smaller cow a little bit different. I wanted to give you options. These are a little bit easier to do, but I just want to give you options. You know how to do the hydrangea 2 ways from the video Monday. Last month, even if you weren't in group last month, you can go back and watch the How to Paint Camellias video to learn how to do that. Take advantage of all the videos from last month as well, guys. And I want to urge you and ask you and even beg you, put your work in group. I want to see what you guys are painting. I don't care if you think it's not the same as mine. No one is going to be the same. And I want to see what you're doing. I want to cheer you on. And so does everyone else in the group. Thank you, Marcy. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off now. I have another meeting that I need to get to, but I hope you like Buttercup the second here. Then, of course, this is my chalk. I'll just wipe that all off. We'll give him a good coat of sealer, and he's done, or she's done. You guys, I love you. Thank you so much for being a part of my group. I'll be back. I'll be back in a day or two. I love you. Bye.